And joining us now is Nicolas Tenzer, Director of the Center for Study and Reflection, Political Action, and French political philosopher and essayist, university teacher and senior civil servant. Hello and welcome to TVP World. So let's begin by asking the question which would have been unthinkable perhaps a couple of months ago, but it is no longer so. The potential election victory of Marine Le Pen in French domestic vote. Now, what impact would that have on the French foreign policy, for example? Because we already see that they have a substantial support. Of course, the European elections are a bit different than the domestic ones, but still this vision actually looms large over the French political scene. So what would it entail if actually it became realized?
If it will become realized, I mean, basically, France will become sick of Europe. We perfectly know that President Macron had made recently a lot of efforts for Ukraine to declare, its very clear position on lose the war in Ukraine and, beyond Ukraine as well. He was calling for a more unified Europe, for increase of defense spending also in Europe, to have certainly new alliances between France, so the East, Central European countries, Poland, of course, but ultimately, and everything will be destroyed, if Marine Le Pen.
So may I ask you a quick question, because we are experiencing some technical difficulties, and I'm sure our team will be working to actually fix these. In the meantime, because you said that Emmanuel Macron was actually acting in order to create and bolster these alliances, right, to help Ukraine, in fact, to introduce this degree of strategic ambiguity with respect to Russia. So would you say that Marine Le Pen would throw it all away and instead try to establish some sort of rapprochement with Russia, or at least to diminish the help for Ukraine? Has she made any statements to that effect recently?
Recently, she had made such statements, but basically she and her party always opposed, in the vote, either, at national or European Parliament, any effort to Ukraine. They voted against or abstained when it comes to the vote in support of Ukraine on condemnation of Russian invasion or sanctions on Russia. And that's, of course, a very long story. We perfectly know so long that basically she is causing up Russia. And certainly, even recently, she said that France must not allow, to strike Russian territory with French weapons. He was against sending French military instructors to Ukraine. She said that basically the only one prospect is must be peace, diplomatic efforts, etc. So basically, she's facing Russian narrative. Even if she tried some time to simulate, she made a statement with National Assembly, well, you have to support Ukraine, etc. But, in the reality and in practical terms, certainly she would oppose any support to Ukraine. Of course, we have to know that under the French constitution, presidents has a kind of prominence in terms of foreign policy and defense. But still, the National Assembly has to vote the budget, and I could be very anxious about, what will come next. Certainly, the people of the National Rally, Marine Le Pen's party, wouldn't support and vote any budget, complementary budget, support of Ukraine. They won't accept the transfer of money also to the EU for the military facilities launched by the EU. And basically, she would throw Ukraine and first.
Right, and indeed, in fact, when it comes to the pre-election preliminary polls, now 31% of the French support the far right, which clearly shows that there is a change in French political landscape, which I feel like leads to also perhaps some potential changes in foreign policy. Which brings me to my next question, the Weimar Triangle. What are the current challenges that the Weimar Triangle faces, and how might these issues be addressed, to your mind?
Well, I think there are two things. First of all, I want to come back to what you said about, the French vote. Certainly, you have an increase since a very long time of, the right wing in France. It's not new. I have to remember that 3 times in the past, the Front National, or the National Rally, was able to go to the second round of the presidential election, 2002 already, and also in 2017 and 2022. But it doesn't mean that the French voters vote mostly for foreign policy issues. What they have in mind is the question of security, migrations, Islam, etc. They are not supporting necessarily, Marine Le Pen's position on Russia. The second question is about the Weimar Triangle. It's absolutely key because France's Emmanuel Macron was already able to convince, Chancellor Scholz to support the strike on Russian territory with Western weapons, and that's a big change. France also, like Germany, seems to have very weak leaders, not only as France, Germany, with the rise of the AFD party in Germany. And basically, Poland right now appears to be basically the good students in the room. And it will be very difficult, of course, if you have France and Le Pen in power, to have to create more bridges, to build more bridges with Poland's Prime Minister Tusk. And it will be very difficult, for Mr. Tusk to also, of course, to have a reliable ally, especially in France. So maybe that could be an outcome. It could reinforce the link between Poland and Germany, which appears to be quite unusual in history, but still, and France will be basically sidelined. Because, in most of the international meetings, normally France President Emmanuel Macron or, his predecessors basically are representing France. But when you have what we call cohabitation between the Prime Minister and President from different political colors, then they are both coming to the meeting. And that means it will be certainly an issue.
So, when looking at the situation, do you think that you've already mentioned the option for Poland to seek an alternative format in the form of cooperating with Germany to a greater extent? Do you see perhaps any other changes on the political map when it comes to international cooperation and other initiatives in which France is involved, if we actually have all of a sudden a government led by Marine Le Pen or perhaps by Jordan Bardella, because he has been designated as this potential future prime minister if they win the election? And also a related question, do you think that France would be willing to risk the collapse of all these basically initiatives of cooperation? Or perhaps they might actually turn towards a more pragmatic policy, toning down some of the controversial objectives of foreign policy of the far right in order to preserve France's position within the European Union and within all of these groupings of countries when it comes to international cooperation here?
Well, first of all, I will say I will be rather pessimistic because Marine Le Pen or Bardella, they are not Melanie. I think Giorgia Melanie certainly has been strong, a very emphasis pro-EU, and there is absolutely no issue on this point with Italian Prime Minister. With Jordan Bardella and Marine Le Pen, they're completely different. Even they are still debating, their former positions about what we call Brexit. You're out of the EU, it will be very difficult to have them on board. Maybe it could be in the second point, 2 steps. I think that probably they will try from now, if he is elected, to 2027, the elections, to continue to dissimulate, their hardest stance. They will try to cooperate, to maintain the things as they are, even if opposing more support to Ukraine. But if after that Marine Le Pen, Bardella, is elected president of France in 2027, then the things will be completely different. But in the meantime, there could be a lot of talent, especially, as I said, with Ukraine, But I think that all the allies would be very, I will say, unwilling also to share, for instance, intelligence, information with France, because there will be a suspicion that, all the intelligence sharing would maybe go to Russia. So basically, the weight of France, also the voice of France, not only, I mean, in the EU Council, but also in the UN Security Council, in which France has a permanent seat, will be really undermined. That, I think, the key issue. And also, just imagine that all the fight that France has decided, about counter-Russian propaganda, Russian interferences, maybe everything will be also.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and providing your insights on this difficult political landscape in France.
Thank you very much.